Hey, Bob Price here. This video is going to talk about something that was new to me that I learned from watching Najia, one of my psychic friends, and it's about sacred geometry. And basically talking about sacred geometry is around us, there's a lot of energy fields, and they have geometric shapes, and she's actually able to not only see these, but there's a language in them that it reveals content to her. It's really amazing. So I'm going to talk about in this video about what the sacred geometry is. Think of it like the wind. You can feel the wind, but you can't see the wind. Now, you can learn to see it just like Najia can see it. So she works with dancers, and she's able to see that when they're dancing, and actually it helps her when she's teaching them to be able to help them to improve and reach their best level. So she's able to use it that way, but there's a lot more to it. So I'm going to go into that in this video, and I hope you like it. So the last couple of videos have been really high advanced stuff, but it's exciting, and I want to have a balance on my channel. I want to have things that I have lower level things. We talk about intuition, but I also want to have things that are on a higher level so that people that are trying to learn new things on a higher level have a place to go. I want my channel to have both. So I haven't actually experienced this sacred geometry. I can't see it myself. So I am just going to give you what I have learned in this video, but I'm thinking that you'll be able to find something. I'm going to use my post that I created for this video as a source. Now, I created quite a bit I did quite a few graphics for this that focus on the sacred geometry, and there's quite a few interesting ones in there. So if nothing else, you can look through my post. I'll put some of them in this video as well, but there's just a lot of good content in that. So if you learned how to be able to see the sacred geometry, it would enable you to help people on a different level. So there's lots of ways you can help people. You can help people by being intuitive. You can help people by, if you're an empath, you can feel their emotions. You can, using any of the clairaudient, or any of those clairs you can use to help other people. So there's a lot of ways, but this thing here, this sacred geometry, is another way. And so this is getting on the more advanced side of metaphysics and paranormal and all of the interesting things that you can study. So that's where we're going. And without further ado, we'll continue on. So sacred geometry. Najia's technique for seeing sacred geometry and light energy. Geometric light patterns are the visible expression of the energetic architecture behind all creation. They are not random flashes, but structured arrangements of luminous points that follow the harmonic principles of sacred geometry. What geometric light patterns are? These patterns are vibrational blueprints of energy, the shapes through which consciousness and matter interact. Circles, triangles, spirals, hexagons reflect universal laws of balance. When Najia describes tiny opalescent dots moving in geometric patterns, she's describing the prana matrix that animates the physical world. How they appear? When the eyes and mind relax into wisdom eye state, the ordinary visual field softens and a subtle light grid becomes visible. Millions of crystalline points begin forming geometric arrangements, spirals, lattices, mandalas, similar to the patterns found in snowflakes, shells, flowers, and galaxies. Now you may not, obviously you probably won't be able to see these crystalline points that Najia was describing, but what you can see is you can see the snowflakes. Have you ever looked at the snowflakes and seen all the really pretty crystals that are in there? Or if you put salt in water and wait, you'll see it will form crystals too. This is the natural order of the universe and of our planet. Why do they matter? Geometric-like patterns are energetic codes that mirror universal harmony. Observing them can heighten intuitive awareness, align your energy with higher frequencies, deliver symbolic or telepathic impressions, also referred to as light language. That this is something that Najia can see and interpret. Najia is able to view and decipher the geometric patterns she sees. Thus, she is able to use what she learns to help the clients and her dancers with issues that they are facing that she sees in the patterns. It's really cool that she can do this. And to tell you the truth, I don't know of anybody else that I have ever met that can do this. So it's really a talent. I have to wonder to myself, is this something that she came to this earth with the ability to do? Or is this something that she learned to do? I think she came here with that ability to do that. So when she was born, that was one of the things that she brought with her, just like someone could have a talent for music or drawing. She brought that talent with her. So there's still the outstanding question, well, okay, so Najia was born with this ability, but can someone else learn how to use it? Is it something that could be teachable? I'm not sure of the answer to that. That is something that Najia knows, but it's a good question, isn't it? So here's a summary of the technique. Najia's method shifts awareness from ordinary eyesight into a deeper internal mode of perception. Through breath work, gratitude, and a softened gaze, she begins to see tiny opalescent dots of prana and watch them organize into swirling geometry. With practice, these patterns become meaningful and uplifting. Imagine seeing the tiniest little dots moving in geometric patterns, she says. You widen your vision and use your wisdom eye in the middle of the brain. The wisdom eye is not right on the surface. It's also the sixth chakra. It's actually between your two eyes, but imagine if you took like your thumb, if you put your thumb and you were able to go right into your forehead, back into your forehead, that's where it's at. So it's in there like 2 inches inside of your head, and that's where it's located. The nature of the light geometry. The air is filled with tiny multicolored prana dots. They look like little, have you ever seen moonstones? Now I'm describing it because I've asked Najia about this, and that's what she says. It's like a whole bunch of really tiny, like 1/4 of the size of a BB, these moonstones that are floating around. But when you see them, you know how you look at schools of fish? The one fish may be really hard to see, but if you get a whole school of them, you can see the fish. Well, it's the same way with this. The nature of light geometry. The air is filled with tiny multicolored prana dots. They shift and form geometric patterns, she says. Foreground and background patterns differ, and with practice, the geometry becomes intuitive communication. That was something I thought was really cool. So in order to do this, you stay calm to receive this awareness. Gratitude is important, so you want to have gratitude when you do this. And when you do this, the physical world softens. It's kind of like she says, Najia is an artist. I'm an artist too. I can relate to that part of what she's saying. But she does something that's really interesting, and that is she defocuses her eyes when she's trying to draw something. And that enables her to see some details that when you focus in on something, you miss. There's elements of things like reflected light, for example. There's light that's directly on something, but if you have another light in the room, that light will reflect even if it's not directly on the person. That's called reflected light. Well, it's similar to this. The wisdom eye, the vision shifts from the eyeballs to the point deep inside the brain. So there's this part, that sixth chakra that I talked about, the wisdom eye. It's about 2 inches back in the brain. That's what you're using to actually focus on these prana, multicolored prana dots. The inner point becomes the screen where geometry appears, similar to how artists in light view the surface, which we talked about a second ago. 3 key principles to keep in mind. Relaxation opens the perceptual field, softened by widened vision and geometric emergence. Internal focus organizes the patterns. Now, there's a step-by-step technique that I have in my post. I'm not going to go into that here, but I want to take a minute and I want to talk about my imagery that I put in there. So the first image that I put in there that I created is an illustration of an eye. And when you look at an eye, I've talked to this before, you can see a reflection of the person that is, like if there's a photographer shooting the person, if you look into their eyes, you can see a reflection of the camera. So if you look at this first image that I have here, it is an eye, but I'm showing you what the eye is seeing. So the eye is seeing all of the prana patterns, the sacred geometry that's in front of it. And then so in this way, I like this because this is showing from a different perspective how this works, and that was what my first image was. This next image is a dancer, and if you have the ability to see these prana, these sacred geometry patterns, I tried to reflect what they could look like. Now, since I have never seen them, this is just an artistic visualization. But if you look at the dancer that I did, you'll see what my perception is of what I think that they look like. You go to the next one and it shows her using her third eye, and it shows all of the prana, all of the sacred geometry patterns in front of her. So I like this third one too, if you look at it. Then I did some studies on the eye, and this was putting the eye in the center of a geometric pattern, which I thought was interesting. So it became part of the design. So I'm symbolically showing what this could look like. Then I had another one of a woman sitting on a like one of those cushions, and she's visualizing, thinking, concentrating in her head about what the patterns could look like. And I wanted to put her in a room where it was actually showing some of the patterns that could appear, but this was just where she's at. So this is someone that's very interested in learning how to do this. And so what she's doing is something that we all can do. She's surrounding herself with imagery, with patterns, with all kinds of artwork and everything that shows the prana and the sacred geometry in an artistic form, so that she can try to emulate it. So she's meditating on this. Something that you could do is, if you were focusing and visualizing, it would be possible for you to see these patterns visually, even if you could not see them with your eye. That's something that I'm able to do with my 6th chakra, when I am able to take in the imagery and I'm able to see visions of things. That's one of the things that I'm able to do, and I do it when I'm focusing on something like Leonardo DiCaprio, when I saw a vision of him looking at a yellow candle, and I interpreted that on one of my videos. It gave quite a bit of insight into what is going on with him right now, and that's what that will do. Now in the next picture, it's the same thing. It's a woman. She's focusing on wanting to learn how to do this. She's got a poster behind her, or a creative engraving that has sacred geometry on it, and she's also wearing a shirt or a vest over her shirt that has sacred geometry on that too, in the hope of learning how to do it. The next thing is the tree of life, and you'll notice in this particular tree of life that I have in the roots some sacred geometry that's feeding the tree. The idea is just like the posters I showed of the woman. The tree is taking in the sacred geometry. The sacred geometry is part of what makes all things live and provides life to everything in the world. It's part of what we are. It's just like the air is here, the sacred geometry is here too. Then I had another dancer that I did previously, and so there's some geometric patterns around her. And this next one is my favorite one. When I was working on this, I was trying to capture what I felt like that sacred geometry would look like. And so I feel like that's probably the closest of what it could look like. I do have that other representation in the beginning here. And finally, we have a woman who has been practicing this, and she's been doing the defocus and the expressing gratitude, and she's finally starting to see it. She's so excited about it. So that's the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will talk with you on the next one.